Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Supportive Advice Live. So good to have you here. Those that are watching on Facebook, those that are watching on YouTube, those that are watching um, via TikTok. We are so happy to have you here with us for another episode. Let's see. All right, so we have Dante here, Mr. Machismo, and we are going to go into another series of Am I the A-Hole, which is Mr. Machismo's favorite. But before we do that, we are going to catch up on our lovely Goldilocks and see where she is now, right? So the last time we talked about her, Goldilocks was moving away. She was moving away from home and going all the way out into the wilderness with Mr. Goldilocks. And I think we named him Lance. I can't remember. And
Lionel.
Lionel. It was Lionel. Okay, we named him Lionel. So to catch up on her, she is now in Never Never Land, and she is living there, and she has completely stopped talking to her family at home, and from the looks of it, her and Mr. Lionel are living out of a hotel. So there's that. And, as I get more information about Goldilocks, I will keep you guys up to date. Mr. Machismo, comments?
I appreciate the update because I was curious.
Yes, we do have, updates. Not every week. We might not know what's going on but when we do hear, we will give you guys updates on Goldilocks. She is a precious member of our crew, and she has gone exploring. So hopefully everything works out for her, and we will keep you updated. So before we dive into Am I the A-Hole, was there anything, Mr. Machismo, that you wanted to bring to the table that we could talk about?
Did you get in on some of that cell phone not working because of the cyber attack earlier today, Jazz?
Wow, yes. Interestingly enough, my home cell phone, my personal cell phone, wasn't really affected. Either that or just wasn't nobody calling me. Uh, but my work phone was affected. And so I had got an email about the cell phone outage. So talk to me about what you know about that.
It seems, because they're very vague in their discussion,
As per usual.
At approximately 3 a.m., there was a mass cell phone outage amongst multiple companies, from AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, and all the subsidiaries. A lot of them were affected. It seems that as the time went on, because I wasn't abreast till about, it'd be like 9 a.m., I'm working, I'm like, this is weird. I haven't got no texts or no calls, or, I ain't even got the scammers ain't even called yet. I'm like, oh, it just felt odd. And then I actually get an email through my work email about something about some network towers down. I'm like, what is this?
What?
And I get to investigating further, and I'm like, oh, there was a cyber attack. But heard stories about people saying it was solar flares. It was isolated incident, nothing to see here type of thing. But I
Isn't
mean,
that always the way? There's never
well,
anything to see here, but there's so
yeah,
much to see here.
it wasn't a cyber attack, but I also have oceanfront property in Iowa, so there's that. So we were saying in the same train of thought. Obviously that was a very much calculated incident.
Right, of course. To
That
knock
the
out
moon
all
was
the
responsible.
networks.
Right. That was pretty bizarre. It'd be one thing if it was okay, if it was just one, if it was just two, or a certain type of phone. But no, this was amongst a plethora of different networks. So and they all came up in different times. I think from what I'm understanding, AT&T took the longest. So that might mean something.
And that's who we have through one of the nonprofits that I work through. And so that's probably why they said something about it. But that's nuts. That is nuts. But is it me or does this feel like deja vu? Because I could have swore we were talking about an outage a little ways back. Remember that?
Sure was.
That there was supposed to be an outage and that, they were going to be doing something to our phones or whatever the case may be, and everybody was like worried about it, and they told us the exact time that the outage or whatnot was supposed to happen, and it was just a test and all this other type of jibber jabber. Remember that?
Can you say the D chord?
Thank you. Can you
say the D chord?
Because when somebody is really doing something, right, something like big like that, they're not gonna tell you. That is just ridiculous because nothing happened. Remember, like we were all talking about it, and then it just seemed like nothing happened. But then all of a sudden, at 3:00 in the morning, when nobody's expecting it, all of our phones go out. Something smells fishy here.
That's like having a veterinarian office next to a Chinese restaurant.
Oh.
Something's not adding up. Something looks suspicious.
What happened to Champ?
Where is Whiskers at? Whiskers?
Whiskers is number 2 on the menu, okay?
Egg bouillon, check out egg bouillon.
And I like Chinese food, but I'm not messing with no ribs, and I ain't messing with no chicken at no Chinese place. I'm sorry, you're not doing that.
I try to be honest. The only time I mess with the chicken, and that's kind of because I try to stay with the shrimps. But if I know it's Americans in there, I hate to say it like that. I kind of will, like there's a place that's in no names please, but it's in the Solon area. They're a very bougie Chinese restaurant where you wouldn't even, if you walk in there and don't know the name of the place, you would not think it's a Chinese restaurant.
Oh, for real?
Oh yeah, you would have no idea.
And you mess with their chicken though?
Oh, because they let's just say, some things are cultural things, where you may eat certain, some cultures eat goat, some eat this or that.
Speaking
some
of
places
cultural,
eat horse.
okay, so there's some Americans there. Is there any black people there?
No, this is our Caucasian brothers and sisters. They are, and they seem to be of influence and affluence. So I'm guessing that they probably, it might be a little clone meat, but
exactly.
it's gonna origin from chicken. I think it's a safe bet, but do with that and what you will.
Yeah, it's from one of those 10-leg chickens.
Yeah, them big wings that done had all the steroids.
Yeah, I'm good,
and
man.
all
I'm
around
good.
bullying the other chickens.
Unless I see somebody that, and if you're watching on YouTube, you can see what I'm doing here. But And like I got the nerve as light skinned as I am, but unless they got a little bit more melanin, I ain't messing with their chicken.
I mean, they know how they know the seasons. My orange chicken be coming out magnificent. There be orange peels in there. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, now they
Y'all
doing
put
too
y'all
much.
foot in
They
it.
doing
Literally.
too much.
You gotta pick that out.
Follow the recipe. Follow the recipe. That's not what we do.
Man, but it sure be good. I'll be wanting to just go in there and get the sauce and do my own thing with it.
Now I'll mess with some PF Chang's though.
That's what it's kind of in that same realm.
Yeah,
it's kind of in that same demo.
Yeah, cause I'll mess with some PF Chang's. They got some good food.
So that it's not commercial like that. They don't have them all over, but I feel I look at them in the same breath, where it's Americanized Chinese food.
Yeah.
Now, them people that's from Cambodia, these different places where they are, first generation, they might still got some of that, some of their cultural traits about them. When the going get tough, we found what's called. You might see some casualties.
It gets serious. We gotta eat. I mean, hey, let's be for real. You know what I'm saying? Because if it was just us, well, in this house or whatever, and it's us and the cat, and it's survival of the fittest, the cat ain't gonna make it. You know what I'm saying? The cat ain't making it.
That's one thing. What's some things you peel? Get the potato peeler.
It's true.
And let it soak after you you just get prepared.
But it gotta be dire. But it gotta be dire circumstances. Because we love our cat, man. Lyric, she is a part of our family, man. So it would be a lot of tears at the dinner table that day.
Lyric, huh? You gonna see her next when the moon crosses the sun. I forgot how she said it. That's when the sun crosses the moon's footsteps or something she said in the movie.
You talking about Jason's lyric?
Jason's lyric.
Oh my gosh, I remember Jason's lyric. Jada Pinkett was so cute in that movie.
She's always told, oh boy, catch me when the sun sends footsteps across the sky or something all deep. Go ahead on. Just tell me tomorrow morning.
Right.
She said something all poetic.
I see you when I see you.
Man. I ain't mad at you.
But she was looking cute though.
It was definitely a vibe. That was the good Jada. We call her good Jada back then.
Yeah. That was 90s Jada. When
Yeah.
We like 90s Jada. We like 90s Jada.
She wasn't jaded.
She wasn't the jaded Jada.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
But this whole eating in dire straits brought up something that I just thought about, and it was something like in a movie that somebody was talking about.
Okay, what?
It's somebody was buried alive in a mountain, like a ski resort. Well, maybe not a resort, but a snowed-in mountain, and it'd been 80 days, and people panicking, and somebody died from hypothermia. They froze to death, and they were given the opportunity. They were starving, so somebody came up with the idea of eating the person. They already did. We already had passed. So I guess the question would you eat Sinclair or whoever happened to pass in that type of situation where it's life or death? You got to hold down the hatches until the rescue crew come in.
Man, look. one thing that I can understand as a human being, right, is that you don't know what you are capable of until you are like in that moment and it's literally death staring you in the face, you know? Um but just for the sake of my sanity, I'm gonna have to pass on St. Clair. I mean, unless there's a lot of hot sauce, it would have to be a lot of hot sauce. What's that hot sauce that old lady? We put that on everything. What's that? What is that? Red hot? What is that?
I think it's red hot. I think
We put that on everything.
nah, you, you make a point. That definitely, yeah. You don't know what you'll do until you're in a situation. But
Yeah, that's hard. It's hard, right? Because it's like
I,
you cold.
I kind
He dead anyway. We didn't kill him. He just dead. You know what I'm saying? We don't got nothing to eat, and we got a whole bunch of red hot. You know what I'm saying? St. Clair, this is for you.
yeah, I definitely, you don't know what you do, but I am a 99 out of 100 that I'm gonna have me some chopped Sinclair because I'm trying to live. I ain't gonna hold you. I ain't
I
gonna
know
hold you.
that's right.
I ain't gonna, gotta do what you gotta do. I mean, it ain't gotta be pretty all the time. You already trapped now. It's already ugly. Yeah. we gonna be chewing on that Sinclair pack. I mean,
Like we
we
either
gotta do what we gotta
either
do.
gonna eat St. Clair or we just gonna smell St. Clair. But you know what I'm saying? It's like,
Right.
why let it go to waste?
Or I'm gonna be you gonna end up like
You're
Sinclair.
gonna end up like St. Clair, yeah. You know, you gonna
good.
eat them, smell them, or end up just like them.
That's no, the only quick. No, I can't. What they call that at the steak places, where it be coming out with I forgot what they call it, where the meat be raw. See, now that's they call it that something to make it all fancy, and it's like, oh, y'all just ain't cooked. Y'all was like, put some sauce on it. And,
Something tartar. I heard
yeah,
of something
tartar. Yeah, there it is. Definitely tartar.
I'm okay.
Now that would be the only. I don't know if I got the stomach for that.
No, we
That's
would have to cook St. Clair.
Yeah, it would have to be cooked. Take a little arm. Maybe start with a finger. I don't know.
Right, you know, like start small.
How do you even go about that? Yeah.
Start with something that looks like something that you would eat.
Something meaty.
Yeah. I got some ideas, but I'm not gonna say them.
Gotta have the sound effects.
Like, that looks like a sausage. That looks like some chicken. That looks like go for what you know. You know, ladies, go for what you know. So, with that being said, we are going to jump into Am I the A-hole, right? We haven't did an Am I the A-hole in a while, but I think it's time.
These are wonderful.
I love these.
These are usually wonderful.
They do have a lot on here where it's just like, nah. So this one says, now, this is the touchy one because, I know there's a lot of people that are dealing with grief and things like that. And this does have to do with someone passing away. But if you could believe, like, what somebody would have to do to be the a-hole in this situation. It says, am I the a-hole for telling my kids if they want their late father's stuff, then they can buy it at the yard sale?
Whoa.
At the yard sale. They can
Now
buy it.
that is that's with the with the prelude and the leading up to what you said. I'm like, oh well, let's have a courageous conversation. And then we got the yard sale, and
The
I'm like,
yard sale.
that didn't go where I thought it would.
I said, that's what I said. What would a person have to do to be on Am I the A-hole plus death? Like they had to do something ridiculous. And so, am I the a-hole for those in the back that didn't hear? Am I the a-hole for telling my kids if they want their late father's stuff, then they can buy it at the yard sale? And, anybody can comment, anybody can, call in and everything and be heard and all that great stuff. But if not, we're going to take the floor. So I don't know if I'm being or not. My husband passed away 2 years ago. He had cancer and decided not to fight it. He passed away, and it has been rough for all my kids. They're all adults. The oldest is 31 and the youngest is 25. I still live in the home my husband and I share. I have been slowly getting rid of things, and I have asked the kids multiple times that if they want something that they need to get. Ain't that like kids? Oh, nothing. Just, how many times I gotta tell you? Now you must want to go to the yard sale. But that's something you threaten. That's not something like you do. But
right.
Anyway, she says they didn't respond. Which really makes me feel some kind of way, because like I have hopes that by the time my kids are 31, they respond and just do like respectful stuff that you expect adults to do. And this is letting me know that maybe not. Maybe it does not come a time, because they're 31 and 25. So anyway, she says nothing. Every time they never take anything, right? I've decided to have a yard sale, and what doesn't sell, I will start putting on Facebook Marketplace and other platforms. I'm tired of looking at all my dead husband's stuff day in and day out. It's depressing, and it's like living with a ghost. There's so much there. I'm going to keep going. I went over my son's to print out some flyers since my printer wasn't working. Then that is when I informed him that I was selling as much as possible. He got upset for selling that stuff. The rest of the kids were informed, and they were all upset as well. I told them if they want some of his stuff, then buy it at the yard sale. They had 2 years to grab the stuff. One called me, as you know, and I'm doubting myself on this. And then they want to throw this in. They edited it because apparently somebody decided that they were the a-hole. Because you only really see edits when somebody says, like, you are definitely the a-hole. And then they'll say, but. So she says, I don't care about the money. They could give me a penny. What I care about is that they are serious about taking it and doesn't come back, and that it doesn't come back to my home. I don't want them to take boxes and then a few months later it's back at my house. So here's some of what people are saying. So we have some comments, right? Someone says, not the a-hole. You gave them 2 years to claim the stuff. Someone else is saying, oh, she's still talking. She talks a lot, apparently. Somebody said, how fortunate. Talk is cheap. Actions speak louder than words. And then somebody said upvote is not enough. We need 100% emoji here. What are you talking about? I'm just done. Not the a-hole. I'm a stuffed person, but I'm already stressing about a house full of memories. Um, this deserves a this message. Where are they when we need them? I don't know. See, I guess you got to be like really deep into like the Reddit community to know what the heck these people are talking about. But a lot of the people are saying, not the a hole. The kids are coming from a place of immaturity, selfishness, and a lack of emotional intelligence towards their mother. They lost their father too. It's called grief. Not seeing things in the perspective one should is most of that package. So I'm hearing some people saying yes, she's definitely the a hole. But then I'm also hearing people say that she's not. So what do you think, Mr. Machismo?
No, that one it started off real quirky, but now it hearing all because I had so many questions, but now hearing all the details, most of them uh, are answered. So my verdict is slight a hole, and this is why. Now,
I'm listening.
from listening, the kids, they took their time, but I mean, in that situation, we're not talking about cleaning up your socks off the floor. We're talking about dealing with your dead pappy's belongings.
Pappy.
There's gonna be. I'm
Not
not
the
that boy.
pappy.
I'm that boy Pappy. I'm that boy. Had a little little life. Well, anyway, so grief be different for everybody because it's like
True.
they didn't want, they didn't. I mean, that's a tough thing, your dead people belong, like, it taking time to get to that point of acceptance in that process. So, it is what it is. Now, as far as the mother, she's not a for wanting to get the stuff out of her house because I believe she should have did that sooner than later. That's a good thing to get. It kind of allows you to move forward, all that good stuff. That part is not it. But telling them that there is a surcharge in order to get what they had already been offered for free, that is a little different. But
Okay.
that is also that's her grief also. And then also, I even have a consideration that there may be even a smidget of resentment because of not with the kids, but actually with the husband because it was something you said early on because it was noted. The fact that she said it lets me know that
That
she
he
cared
didn't
about it.
fight the cancer,
That he
right?
didn't fight the cancer. So
Yeah,
that
she
lets me
she seemed a
know
little pissed about that.
because that's saying that's she said a lot by even mentioning it.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, that also there's some undertones of resentment of him as well. So that's why the most minimum level of a you could possibly give a person, only because it just you didn't come get it, so now you got to pay for it. Like that's the only smidget I can, because the rest is just dealing with grief, how she's dealing with grief, just coming to terms with everything. So that's how
But
I see that one.
but I will say this: she was very particular about the fact that it wasn't, about money, specifically, and that she just wanted to know that they were serious. But I peeped that you picked up something that I was actually going to mention, right? Um, First of all, this isn't the first time that I've talked about the stages of grief, on Supportive Advice Live. We've talked about it multiple times, and one of the things that we talk about is that it's not linear. It is circular, it is continuous, and a lot of times there's different stages happening in tandem. And one of the stages that I'm hearing throughout this story is anger.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to look at his stuff. It's depressing. It's like his ghost is here. He decided not to fight. So, I think sometimes it's one thing when somebody fights the good fight and then they lose, and it's another thing when someone decides that they don't want to fight at all, and and she doesn't say he decided not to fight and I supported him wholeheartedly. Like, she didn't say that.
Yep. Right.
She just said he decided not to fight, and the way that she prefaces that kind of gives us an idea that she didn't support it wholeheartedly, and that she was probably pissed that he chose, and I'm putting up quotation marks here for anybody that can see me, that he chose to leave.
She probably say this some I'm just cause that's tell death do his part. So you want to leave me this fast? Like, I mean, not kind of you gotta have a little jokey to make it not so tough,
Okay.
but yeah, definitely that's a real thing, because you could just feel it, like, from just the words that was just
Yeah.
said, like she just, yeah, and it's almost like she go, anything to do with it. If somebody's standing in her way with what she want to do with that situation, they can get it too, kids or not.
They can get it, especially after 2 years, But one thing that I'm really hearing is, like I said before, anger. She can't take out her anger on him. She can't
Oh yeah, right.
tell him how angry she is with him. I mean, she can talk, but she can't confront him in the way that she might want to confront him, right? And so the next best thing is taking it out on his stuff.
Yep.
Well, if
Yep.
you left, don't leave and not take your stuff with you now. Don't leave and not take. If you're gonna leave, take your stuff, please. Take your things, and for the kids to, which they're not even kids, they're adults, but for the, adults to come and, they're there, they're used to seeing the things there, is something that makes home feel like home, that dad's things are still there, and so,
Yep.
of course, they're not wanting to take dad's things to their house, because dad never lived there. That's not like home,
Right.
We want to see the stuff where it's supposed to be. That's here. His hat normally sits on that chair, and his shoes will go by that door, and this is his pipe over here, and that is nostalgia for us, and it makes it feel like he's still with us. But if you notice, she says it just feels like his ghost is there. Almost like,
Yeah, because
it's haunting her.
I mean, she got to look at it every day. So I definitely get it from her perspective, and I get it from theirs. Like, why would you want to take that? Because now you have to really deal with the fact that he gone. Like, that's why they waited so long. And I mean, I get it. People look at things. I'm just a little surprised that people would say they immature because of not getting the stuff, like it was a task or a chore that
Right.
they parents like they didn't fold up the clothes. Like, this they pops the past, But it's definitely a place of just knowing that the stuff is there. Okay, well, maybe he might come. Even though it's not ever gonna happen, part of your subconscious is like hold its breath. But when you take them clothes out of their normal where they've been at for 31 years or however old people is, the oldest kid or the youngest, when you take that stuff away, it's a finality to that.
I mean, absolutely. And I think that it really comes down to denial, right? Because that is one of the stages of grief, right? There's denial, there's bargaining, there's acceptance, there's anger, there's a lot of different things, and I didn't say them in order on purpose, because I don't believe that they always happen in order, and again, it's circular and continuous. So with that being said, it sounds like as long as his things were there, they could have a subconscious sense of denial around his death.
Right.
And that
Right.
doesn't mean that they don't know he's dead. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying like there's a part of him that is still present. His things have his smell.
All that.
I remember the last time he wore that hat. Last time he wore that hat, we went here, we did this. And so taking those things out of the house, and taking them back to your house is kind of like now you're like, I only have to face it when I go over mom's house. But if I bring the stuff here, I gotta face it all the time. I have to deal with it all the time. And so, and that's a lot, to expect mom to have to put up with, especially when she's in a state of anger. And you can obviously tell that she's angry. And it's been 2 years, and she sounds like she's still angry because she, like you said, she put that little subsection. He decided not to fight.
That you could, man. That was most people. If they might have left that out. Just but she chose not to because she got some stuff she got to get off her chest.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
she can't get it off.
imagine, to someone that might sound, or that might even feel like a suicide, like a slow suicide. Like there's things that can help you. There's things that we can do, that we can try to extend your life, and you're saying no. So you just want it. So you just want it. Then it's like I'm trying to capture it from the partner's perspective versus the person who's saying no.
I could even see me saying something silly as like, if you don't fight, I'm gonna kill you. like something that don't even make sense. Like if you don't fight this thing, I'm gonna have to kill you.
Don't Ike
So,
Turner me
just
now. Don't Ike Turner.
but
if you don't make it, anime, I'll kill you. If you don't. I don't know how that's going to work.
It was getting a little sad in here, so I had to interject something. I'm like, man, this is the worst. Am I the a-hole or not ever? Man, I was thinking I'm gonna have to go watch the last 3 minutes of the 2016 Cavs championship. Man,
oh my gosh!
I mean, because how can you be in a bad mood after that? But anyway, that's a whole other. But I'm like, yeah, that's
life, sir.
Because that is like the because it's no winning for either party. Because if the mom keep holding on to stuff, she can't even move on with her life. But if the kids see the stuff gone, it actually may be good for them. But they don't want to do that. They don't want that Band-Aid ripped off.
Of course
so
not.
That's what it is.
Who want to rip that Band-Aid off?
I mean, sometimes you gotta let the wound get some air so it can heal.
I mean, but who wants to rip it off though? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I mean, you don't want to, but that's sometimes it ain't gonna come off. You ain't gonna ease it off. You go just sit there and be comfortable with it on, or at least it ain't getting infected. Sometimes somebody gotta rip that thing off.
Lord, I will say that this also could be, a form of isolating. If you could even look at it like that, where it's like, I am just done. And I don't want to deal with anyone. I don't want to feel anything else. And sometimes we'll sabotage relationships when we get into that space. And telling your kids that they can get their late father's belongings at a yard sale is kind of a sabotage to the relationship too, which is how some people cope.
Yeah, I mean they be alright though, but I see it. That's a good point though, because that's something It might be subconsciously. Like, I'm tired of y'all. I'm tired of this stuff. Y'all just go head on. Let me get some air to breathe. Which, I mean, it might be good to have some separation sometimes. Sometimes you could, there might need some boundaries created.
Because
Just so.
the children could have supported, him not wanting to go through chemo. There's a lot of things that aren't being said where, some of these emotions for her could be coming from. But
Oh.
um, but I am gonna run down the stages of grief again. It's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Okay? So the children sound like they are in denial. You know, yeah, I understand on some level that he's passed away. However, there is a part of me that still needs to see his things at mom's house, and get a sense that he's still with us. And mom has jumped to stage number 2, which is anger. He left on purpose. Take your stuff. Take your shoes, take your coat, take your hat, take your stuff. She mad. She about to do what Angela Bassett and blow it all up. She pissed.
Get your coat and leave. But that's a great point about, yeah. As long as they got it's almost like it's funny because they look really saying the same thing. With them keeping that stuff is like a memorandum or whatever you call it,
Memorial.
memorial. Yep. What don't they call it? A memorandum or something? Either way, but yeah, it's like a memorial that you know, they as long as he there, as long as that stuff is there, he's there.
Right.
And then for her, she's saying the same thing. As long as that stuff is there, he's there. So it's like she want him gone because he ain't there. And he
Yeah.
ain't fight to stay there. So if it's up to me, all y'all can go. Like I can, I can understand that. I can, especially if they supported his decision. Oh no,
Which
man,
is
y'all.
speculation. We don't know. But yeah, if
I
that
mean,
if that is the
but
case, I can see her, taking it out on them. But it also, in retrospect, it was 2 years. It's not like 2 weeks passed and they were like, and she was like, I'm getting rid of all his stuff. She might be at a point where she's ready to move on with her life, even though she does still sound angry. She might be seeing somebody else at this point and just like, all right, this is just
I'm about to
weird.
say,
I don't want
Ricardo
his
don't
stuff
came.
in the
She done bumped
house.
him. She done bumped into Ricardo. This is
Like, do you
she
have
trying
on
to
my
move
husband's
up.
house coat? Take my husband's house coat off. What you doing?
Man,
Get out of his
Ricardo can't
stuff.
take it
Stop
no
wearing
more.
his shoes.
Ricardo, he ain't got no room in the closet just to throw his work uniform in there.
She trying to move on. She like, look, all right, well, I mourned with him for the 2, for however long, he was going through the process, and now I'm ready to kick it and go, But
That's who the a-hole, Ricardo. He the
Ricardo,
one causing it.
it's all Ricardo's fault.
It's all Ricardo's fault, man.
Ricardo and Lionel, we can't catch a break.
That Lionel is funny.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a funny day.
he big pimping Lionel. You got somebody to you got Goldilocks to leave the forest, travel through the wilderness, to live with you at your hotel.
Hey, shout out to Lionel. Hey, I
I'm
mean,
like, all right, Lionel,
he doing something. I don't know.
yeah, you doing something. So yeah, but we'll keep up on Goldilocks and see, what's going on with that. Or not, we'll see as it goes. But I wanted to throw in, and this isn't my first time talking about this either, the tasks of mourning. And I know you've heard me talk about this time and time again. But I like it I don't want to say better, but I like it either alongside or instead of, the stages of grief when I'm working with clients and things like that. Because a lot of clients, they want to do something. They feel helpless. They feel hopeless. They want to do something. They want to tasks, and so it's one thing to say, okay, well, you're going through denial right now, but it just leaves them in a place where they're like, well, what am I supposed to do with that? Okay, I'm in denial. Okay, now what? Now what do I do? How do I get out of denial? And it's
Denial.
like, no, you don't just get out of it. But how? But so when am I going to be out of it? When am I, like, this is stuff that I actually hear. Well, when am I going to be out of denial? Or, when am I going to be out of anger? When? How? What is the thing? I'm like, and because it's such a known thing, they don't see it as an individualized journey. And so they're trying to quicken themselves out of denial and out of anger and out of all of these things. And it's just like, no, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. This is just reminding me of that commercial where the lady, remember that lady, that older lady, and they had wrote the friends on the wall, or they had like posted the friends on the wall, and then the lady did something that the other lady didn't like, and she took her off, and she said, "You're not my friend anymore." And she was like, "That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works."
I remember that somebody saying that in a commercial, but I can't remember what the circumstances.
She was trying to do Facebook, but she was from a different generation. So when she heard wall, she took it to literal wall and started posting her friends on her wall.
Oh yeah. I think I remember that now. Yeah.
And that's who I sound like in session a lot of the times when I have clients that are in grief. I'm like, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Like and they're just like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, well, me neither. So I like to introduce the task of mourning because it helps them with locus of control, and it gets them out of a place where they feel like the grief and the death is happening to them versus something that they have control navigating, right? And so the task of mourning is accepting the reality of the loss. So instead of denial, which is a natural stage of grief, right? The task becomes accepting the reality. And then instead of anger, the task becomes processing the pain of the grief. Because that's where a lot of the anger comes from. I can't believe this person left me. I can't believe that they just gave up. I can't believe they didn't fight to stay with me. We had a plan. We were supposed to be together till this time. We were supposed to go here and fly here and travel here, and they just left, right? So a lot of the anger comes from feelings of pain, and so task of mourning says process the pain of grief versus living in anger or in the stage of anger. And then adjust to a world without the deceased, which is essentially getting to a place of acceptance. Getting to a place of acceptance versus bargaining. I need to adjust to what the world is like, not having this person here versus staying in the stage of bargaining with God about why he's no longer here and bringing him back. And then the last task is find a way to remember the deceased while moving forward with life. Now, this task I love because it doesn't teach anyone to suppress anything. You're not suppressing how you feel. You're not suppressing, this person in your life, but you're actually finding different ways to incorporate this person in your everyday life so that it feels like they're still present. And I have some clients that went through complex grief that lasted longer than 2 years, and it was deemed complex grief, right? was the diagnosis. And it wasn't until we started actually incorporating that last task of finding ways to still remember this person while you're still living your life. It's not, oh, either I accept and forget and live my life. No, you can remember them and still live your life. I had a client at one point that didn't want to laugh because they felt so guilty for laughing when they had lost someone that they loved, as though nothing should ever be funny again. How can I laugh? How can I make light of anything? How can I be here just living and carrying on when this person isn't here anymore? And so it wasn't until we got to a point where it was like, it's not about taking their pictures off the wall. It's about looking at the picture, remembering what they were doing in that moment. I would have them tell me funny stories about the person. Not talk about them. During the holidays, is there an ornament that this person made? Is there a tradition that this person loved? Let's play that up during the holiday so that we can remember this person in a positive way as we're living on. And I've seen the task of mourning be I don't want to say more helpful, but yeah, in a lot of ways, helpful in a different way than just telling someone, okay, well, this is where you are. Good luck with that.
That is deep because I can't imagine not laughing. But that's all like what I guess they call it survivor's remorse, where it's like you almost like you you taking the like you blaming yourself in a way, like your life stopped because their life stopped.
Right.
That's deep. That's deep.
And that's how a lot of people feel. My life should stop because this person's life stopped. And a lot of times you'll hear people say one of the hardest things when somebody passes away is realizing that the world keeps going.
Yeah, don't one monkey don't stop no show. That is a old one, but it is always relevant. That is man, but that's heavy. Not laughing. That's a tough one. All right.
It had been two
Ooh.
years. They did not want to, like they felt guilty anytime they were happy. They felt guilty, and working through that, it took some time. It took some time, but I will say incorporating the task of mourning um, was helpful. It was helpful in that, and having them. One of the things that we did was having that person again, as I said, look at pictures. Look. No, don't take the picture down. Look at the picture. Look at the picture. Remember what you loved about that photo. Remember what you loved about that person. And I think that also helped because there was a lot of avoidance with like, I don't want to go anywhere where people know. I don't want to do anything where people know. I don't want to run into anybody. I don't want to, and it was almost like a shock to the system anytime that person would see a picture of that person or see their name or whatever the case may be. And so I was like, it has to become more common for you to walk past, a picture of that person, and to really acknowledge what you loved about their life versus continuing to grieve their death.
Yeah, the more and more you go down and talk about this situation, the more and more I think the mom might be doing the right thing by ripping off that band-aid and selling that stuff. That way they they not not by free will, but they get forced to kind of deal with it a little bit more. They get forced to kind of move past that place of not not coming into the reality that, oh yeah, it's over for your pops, and get closer to acceptance. Like that's whatever it takes. It seemed like, because that, you don't want to be like the person that couldn't laugh 2 years later. That's a bad existence.
But that's
That's
life, though. That's life. There's so many individuals that are dealing with complex grief. It's the fight for me, and I got mad for a minute. My situation is parental. Um, so that's somebody in the comments. Karen, it's the fight for me, and I got mad for a minute. Um, and we do get upset. We do get upset, and that's a part of it. It is 100%. And then we can get stuck in a place where we just feel like we should not exist outside of this person, especially if it's like a child or a parent. I mean, that could be really hard. But especially with children, complex grief is definitely something that individuals experience more often than not, because people see it as unnatural to bury a child, you know and well, I didn't do what I was supposed to do to protect this child, and so now I'm blaming myself, right? And I'm not saying that the person didn't do everything, but that's just the thought process, right? Because I am the parent, I am the protector, right? And so that can definitely lead to a lot of remorse and a lot of guilt, a lot of survivor's guilt, and it can get to a place where that person, just from an emotional standpoint, doesn't feel like they even deserve to move forward.
I can see that with a child for sure. A bit of yeah. I could see that with death of a child. But even with that, I mean, it's and I understand. Everybody doesn't have that perspective. Like, you just, regardless of what it is, you kind of got to just move on. At some point, you go through the process. Go through the emotions, be sad, be mad, all that. But at some point, that it's an expiration for that.
I
It
I
needs
I,
to decrease, and you need to move forward.
I don't know if move on is anything that I would
Yeah,
ever
that
tell
might be the wrong
anybody.
wording. That might
You
be the
know,
wrong wording.
would
But that's,
not say that in therapy for anybody that's
yeah.
listening. You know,
Oh yeah.
but
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, I
you
might
know,
I might not be the best therapist, but
right?
yeah.
I mean, hey, there is a very strategic therapist, and strategic is actually a therapeutic model, and a lot of it is constructive confrontation. You know, and so from that aspect, hey, but for me, you know, that's not the route I would go. With someone that is having complex grief. Because you got to imagine they're probably being told by so many people in their everyday life not to feel how they're feeling, to move on. How long are they gonna do this? Why they still can't talk about it? You still not and so there's time limits that people put on things in everyday life. So one of the things about therapy is that we don't do that. You feel how you feel, and I give you the space to feel that way as long as you need to, but I'm going to also give you homework. I'm going to also give you things to do that might be hard, you know, but when you're in session, you're going to feel how you feel, and then you're going to talk to me about the homework, and you're going to talk to me about why it was hard. And if you didn't do the homework, we're going to talk about what the barriers were to why you didn't do the homework. There was one client I had, and this was difficult. That I had them stare, at a photo of their loved one for 15 minutes. And then after the 15 minutes was up, they were to do a progressive muscle relaxation. And so what that did was it started to allow them to associate feelings, looking at this individual or this loved one, with feelings of relaxation and feelings of peace. So I would have them stare at it for about 10-15 minutes, and then do a progressive muscle relaxation. And I had them continue to do it until their brain just automatically started positively associating, seeing the loved one with a feeling of peace and relaxation.
And you kept singing one of my favorite songs. Feel what I feel, what I feel, what I'm feeling. Everybody love the sunshine. That's deep. That's a whole that's deep. Cause that's man.
The journey
That's
is
all I
different
can
for
say.
everybody,
Right.
and that's the thing, and that's one of the things about the stages of grief, that I don't want to say it's bothersome, but it kind of is, because it's like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to feel. Well, I'm supposed to feel this, and then I'm supposed to feel that, then I'm supposed to feel this, and then I'm supposed to feel this, and then all of a sudden I'm over it. Did it, done. But what about the person who goes into shock? What about the person that doesn't feel sad? What about the person that throws himself into work? What about the person whose adult offspring was a drug addict, and when they finally found out that person had passed, there was a feeling of relief because they didn't have to worry about that person anymore? What about that person? Where is that in the stages of grief? There's just certain things that a piece of paper is not gonna cover.
Now I was gonna ask this earlier,
Are you eating?
but that kind of, when you just said, yeah, I had to take a little dip in this nacho. But anyway, I was gonna ask this earlier, but when you said that about the sibling that was maybe on drugs or whatever, and they pass, and it's like a sense of relief. Now, are there people that skip all the way to acceptance?
No. Mm-mm.
Never in the history of society? Or is it
So
just very unlikely?
it's very unlikely. I'm not gonna say never in the
Okay.
history of society. There's always somebody who did something. Interestingly enough, it depends on the relationship that you have, the bond that you have with the person. There's people who pass away all the time that we're not that close to, and we don't go through the stages of grief. We say, oh man, that's messed up, man. I'm sorry that happened to them. And then we don't really think about it too much anymore. Or we will think about it in a way of, man, life is short. I really got to get on my stuff. I really need to refocus in on the things that I wanted to do. This person was such and such years old. I'm such and such years old. If they can pass away this early, so they'll do a comparison, and it can become a motivation for them to achieve goals or whatever the case may be. But there's no stages of grief that's happening. So there's that. But when you're talking about a offspring, that you're close to, or you're talking about a parent, or a husband or a wife, if they're, I mean, unless the relationship was completely strained, and even in that, sometimes the stages of grief can be delayed. I haven't run into a case where somebody just didn't feel anything but acceptance with someone that they were really close with.
Gotcha, gotcha. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Because I mean, you think about like, for example, say a coworker passed, like it'll be like, oh man, that's messed up.
Mm-hmm.
But then next week, I mean, it might not cross your mind at all, like ever again, unless you at work or see one of their close friends or something like that.
Right. But that's somebody that maybe you were close to in proximity, but you weren't necessarily, wasn't somebody that you talked to every day. Maybe you didn't have an outside relationship with that person. So when you leave the office, you're not thinking about the fact that that person passed. But you might say, man, that person passed doing this job, and you might start to think about how you feel about that job. And and going into a different stage in your life. Death can be very reflective. It doesn't necessarily have to mean that you're going through the stages of grief, but it can be definitely reflective. Now, I will say there are psychopaths. There are psychopaths and there are sociopaths. And no, in all honesty, there are, and that's a real life thing. And so they but interestingly enough, a sociopath and a psychopath might mimic what they think other people what they think societally they should feel, because a psychopath and a sociopath, is not that they don't know what other people do, or what's societally acceptable. It's not that. It's just they don't have it in them. They don't have the feelings. The feelings aren't there. And a lot of times that comes from trauma. Trauma very early on. The feelings aren't there. They're numb. They don't feel anything about it. And with that being said, they will mimic though the emotions. Sometimes as a form, well, especially a sociopath, they'll mimic it as a form of manipulation. If I seem like that I am grieving, how much can I get from you, and then you, and you, and then you, and then you. So a sociopath will mimic it as a point of manipulation, and a psychopath might mimic it so people don't know they're a psychopath.
Okay, now I got one more question.
Okay.
What is the difference between a psychopath and a sociopath?
Lord. There's a lot of minute differences. But with a sociopath, it's more a lack of social behaviors. They're more likely to try to manipulate someone into doing what they want them to do. Like, they don't have any remorse around manipulating someone else from a social standpoint. A sociopath might befriend you and just manipulate you and not actually have any, they might not even like you like at all, but you wouldn't know. You would know.
It's so many sociopaths out here. I ain't gonna lie. I had to look up the definitions real quick because I just know I ain't trying to be on them paths. I just or be around them paths. But I I just always went with socio psycho crazy, but now sociopaths they can be craft they can be like a that is deep.
Yeah,
I'll just learn some stuff
so
today.
sociopaths can be crafty. You know, they know how to form attachments. But they only form attachments based on their own needs. Um, and they don't have any emotion. They don't have empathy. You know, which makes it easy for them to manipulate people. You know, and if they decide that you belong to them, or you are their property, you know, it's like that's you know, they have a lot of emotional outbursts. You know, it's really hard for them to contain themselves or have what we would deem normalized reactions to things. You know,
Mm.
so you know,
Good googly muggly.
sociopaths are definitely different than psychopaths. Psychopaths, they don't really know how to form attachments, so they're not attached to anyone. You know, and they don't have any emotion or empathy or remorse or anything like that. Sometimes a sociopath can be too emotional. Like if they decided to attach to you, they can be too emotional. Um, if you had to think of it like someone that stalks someone is more of a sociopath
Social for sure.
than they would be a psychopath path, because they've attached to this person, and they don't care about anything that has anything to do with that person's life. And interestingly enough, I was actually watching a documentary called My Lover, My Killer. Have you ever seen it?
I ain't seen that, and I've been hearing about some type of why did I get married or something on some sort of little show, and
Talking
it's
about Tyler
I'm
Perry.
guessing they probably it's like I think it's on TikTok or so, I don't know where it's at, but I've been seeing it
Who
all over
like
Facebook.
who did I marry?
Yep, something like that. And it sound like it sound like some crazy stuff, cause I when you just said that when you said psycho when I thought about psychopath I thought about Michael Myers. When I thought about sociopath I thought about the dude from You or Dexter. I don't know if you've seen Dexter,
I
that
have
show,
seen Dexter.
but
Dexter is kind of, you know, he's interesting because his character isn't attached to anyone. Like even when he was with his girlfriend, he wasn't attached to her, but he stayed in a relationship because it helped him look normal. So he was more like a psychopath.
so the dude from You would be a
Oh
sociopath or a
gosh.
psycho still.
Oh gosh. So I'm gonna lay out some traits. These traits are because I don't want to miss any. These traits are from verywellhealth.com. And so this is characteristics of sociopath and characteristics and traits of a psychopath. So I'm just going to lay these out so there's no confusion. Sociopath traits: breaking the law, physical aggression, manipulation of others for personal gain, anger and hostility, unpredictable mood swings, impulsive behavior, chaotic and dramatic, ex- exploitation of other people, irresponsibility, and unreliable in relationships. So the big one there is the manipulation factor that I talked about, and the exploitation factor that I talked about, and 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 then the physical aggression and the impulsive behaviors can come with unsecure attachment if you are with a sociopath. Now for psychopath, it says feeling few if any emotions. So that's more Dexter. Cause he felt a lot of emotions. He felt emotions all the time. He was always doing something. He killed one of the people accidentally. Remember, he had killed one of the friends accidentally out of anger. It wasn't planned. Dexter has a plan. You did something wrong. You broke the law. I'm going to find you, stalk you, and then kill you very meticulously. So Dexter is a
Facts.
psychopath. It says psychopaths can gain pleasure from causing other people pain. They lack care for others. They lie pathologically. However, they are charming. You know, they're charming. They lack fear. They have risk taking behavior. They have an inability to love, which goes back to Dexter. No remorse for wrongdoing, poor judgment, lack of life goals, and use relationships purely for gain. So there's a lot of similarities. You know, I think the biggest difference is that sociopaths can attach and psychopaths can't.
Gotcha. Wow. Okay.
And again, you can find that on verywellhealth.com. It gives a lot of different traits of sociopathic behaviors and psychopathic behaviors, which you'll see overlaps a lot, especially when it comes to the manipulation and the inability of having a healthy relationship. So when I say there are sociopaths and psychopaths, there are people who go through life that might not have an emotion if someone passes away. But again, they know what emotion is supposed to look like. And so they will mimic it for personal gain. And sometimes they'll mimic it because they know if they start laughing,
Oh my God.
eyebrows will raise. They don't want to raise no eyebrows because then people are going to be looking at them pretty interestingly. So, excuse me. My Lover, My Killer was an interesting documentary, right? There's also a documentary on Netflix called I Am a Stalker. And just FYI, I'm not a stalker, but the series is called I Am a Stalker. And I might actually end up doing a little series on it because I just did a workshop at Cuyahoga Community College about relationships and attachment patterns. And we talked a lot about anxious attachment. And one thing that was common in all of these people who killed the other person, sociopaths, they're sociopaths, is that they had very anxious attachment. They would call all the time. They would pop up at their place. They would, continuously woo them. They would try to isolate them in some way, shape, or form. Their behavior was very dramatic. They were not able to emotionally regulate. And so when the person finally would say, okay, that's it. Stop it. Just stop it. They would get upset and they would buy a knife. And interestingly enough, I only watched 2 or 3 episodes because it got a little bit too depressing. I was like, all right, I need to watch a comedy or something. But in the 3 episodes, they all use knives. Like they wanted to
inflict pain and punishment,
on that person, and they all stabbed the person multiple times, and it was always after they were like stalking that person's social media and they saw them with another person. That was it. And in the cases that was it, but anxious anxious attachment and sociopathic behaviors can be kind of a little gray mixture, because if you push someone with anxious attachment and you awaken their fear of abandonment, and which is tied to their self-worth, you'll find out whether or not they were a sociopath.
Stage 5 clinger. Stage 5. Oh. Shout out to Owen, not Owen Hart, whatever his name is. Owen something. Wouldn't crash this for anybody that didn't know. But yeah, that is bad. That is deep though, because I kind of just always clumped them the same, kind of in a way.
No, they are
But
definitely different.
the socio part kind of tell you a little something in retrospect.
Yeah, because
But
the sociopath, they can connect on an emotional level, but sometimes they connect too much. Like, too much. They attach too much, and they attach in a way where they like how you make them feel, but they don't really care about how you feel. You know, so they're not attached like I want you to be happy. I love you because I want you to be no. You make me happy, so you stay. I don't care about how you feel. I don't care if you got family. I don't care about none of that. You stay here because you being here makes me happy. You know, that's how they connect. So it's not a mutual. It's not a lot of reciprocity as it relates to being in a relationship. They actually are very mean to the person a lot of the time. Very emotionally and mentally and even physically abusive to the person. In one episode, the female had actually stabbed the guy with a fork on different occasions, just out of anger. So it's not like they're treating these people super awesome or anything. They're treating them badly, but they won't let them leave.
See that? That's why you gotta have female cousins that's over 6 feet for stuff like that. That's crazy.
You say female cousins that's over 6? Who got those? I don't have none of those.
Oh, I got like 3 of them. I got like 3 of them. No, I'm just because I mean, you know, as a man, you're not really supposed to put your hands on a woman. So you know, you always want to have somebody that can take care of that for you.
Wow.
Like, but that, I mean, in all seriousness, though, like, why? That's some deep stuff. Because if somebody stabbed me with a fork, you like that's like I just got so many. That is wild. But that is I could see like I can when I hear this I go back to certain people even going back to lunch tables and you see certain traits of that behavior and then as they got older it's like oh you're like we're the psychopath okay oh you're a sociopath oh you could be a little cuddly but the real you it's like you see all this stuff later like wow the stuff that's in them rise to the top over so
Yeah,
many years.
it does.
Or get triggered from something. I think about that. What's that thin line between love and hate? That look that what's the name had on her face?
Ooh, Lynn Whitfield.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was. I'm scared of that laugh, man. What? You
Oh,
better go head off.
she wasn't playing. She wasn't playing. She is she would fall more or less into sociopath than psychopath. I mean, she could be classified as neither, but if we had to pick one, she would be more a sociopath, because she attached to Martin's character, and she didn't
Martin
want
Barr.
to, she didn't want to let him go, even though he was very clear that he wasn't happy in the relationship and he didn't want to be bothered with her anymore. She was like, nah, that's not how this works. You said you loved me in the end.
That's not how any of this works.
Right, that's right, But I feel like for me, like bet or no bet, if you stop in the middle of starting any type of intercourse and say to me, by the way, I killed my ex, whatever. Conversation over. No.
It's over.
It's done. No.
My
I gotta
stomach
go to
hurt.
the bathroom. I
Let me
gotta
go
find a
to the
way
bathroom
out.
real quick. These are facts.
It's like none of it is worth.
The the red flags was pink at that time because he was about to get
Pink.
some cutty.
That was red. I mean, she literally stopped and was
I mean,
like,
to him,
"Oh, for
because
him."
at the time, and they was pink. They was red to anybody else
Oh, but they were
who had
pink
all
to
the
him
blood
because
flowing to their head.
he was all mixed up in the thing
Right.
thing.
He was lost in the sauce, so he couldn't think straight. But anybody who had their thinking cap on, oh yeah, them flags is red.
They was red.
To him, they might have been vivid tangerine or something.
And, and
He ain't have all the blood in his head.
he even said, well, if he was if he was abusive, sometimes you gotta kill a person. I'm like, no, player, no.
Don't qualify it.
That's not what we do.
Don't qualify the behavior.
That is not. I from what I know, I have never actually had a client that committed a murder or anything like that. As far as I know.
That you know of.
Right? But if someone came to me and or they were in in prison or whatnot, and maybe I started seeing them as a therapist, there's a part where you do have to, as a therapist, and this is just honest, you do have to build rapport before you can start constructive confrontation. You can't come out the gate with constructive confrontation. You can't be like, nah, you murdered somebody. Nope, I don't want to hear that. Nope, just tell me why you did that. You can't start off like that. You have to start off being open-minded to whatever that person's point of view is as to why that they did what they did, and even why they don't feel like it's wrong. You do a lot of mirroring. You do a lot of repeating, not parroting, but mainly reflective listening. And you get to a place where you build enough rapport where when you do question someone on a cognitive level, or their thought processes, right, they're more likely to kind of actually consider what you're saying versus being completely defensive, but if I'm in the bed and you in the bed, no, my therapist hat is not on, and no, not gonna say that to you.
Dr. Melfi.
I'm saying I'm gonna be like, you said what you did what now? Oh, wait, did you don't hear that? Something, did that an alarm or something? Let me go check that out real quick. What was it?
What'd you say? I think somebody outside.
Like,
Let me
somebody
check
was
it
calling
out.
me. I think that was my phone on my beeper, because that was back in the movie was made back in the 90s, so maybe it was I think that was my beeper. Give me 1 second. Wait. You just save that, and I'll be back.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I will never be back. So with that being said, we have covered a lot of topics today. I think this was a really good show, Dante. What you think?
Man, all I know that it's different levels of crazy. It's different.
If you didn't learn anything else, talking to a therapist, you learned that, huh?
Man, because I always just put them all in the crazy zone. But now now I know what specifically psycho and soci. It's a difference, y'all.
There's different, yes. There are different type of mental health disorders and personality disorders.
But them two specifically, I kind of really just kind of clump together.
And a lot of people do that. You know, that's not uncommon. Who's just like, I just need to know the difference between these two. Nobody plans on messing with
Me,
either one of them.
I mean, I mean, the question, the thought came to my mind today, and when in Rome, do as the Roman,
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
around
yeah. When you
somebody who
talk,
can answer that.
when you're talking to a therapist, that's one thing. But I'm saying in everyday life, who's just like,
Oh
man, I
no,
just really want to know the difference, of that right now. But of course, if you have a person such as myself, that's doing a show, and you can ask me, well, yeah, of course, you ask me. But we've talked about, am I the a-hole? We've talked about grief. We've talked about stages of grief. We've talked about tasks of mourning. We've talked about the difference between a sociopath and a psychopath. And we have determined that, or I have determined that the mom is definitely in a stage of anger, because the husband decided not to actively fight the cancer, which is his right, but it also is her right to be upset. And Mr. Machismo has determined that she is, what did you call her, a slight a-hole?
I'm actually going to retract my a-hole statement. She is not. She is even. She is not. I can neither confirm her a-holeness or
Oh,
deny her
Lord.
a-holeness. She is. I have reverted my initial judgment after further review
After further,
because
why? So you're not gonna
because
pick one, is what I'm hearing you say.
I mean I can't say she is. I'm gonna say she's not one. I
Okay.
don't think there is one in this situation except Ricardo. That's the only one. That's the only
For
one.
those who
But
joined late, that is the lover that we made up for her. Yeah.
yes, Ricardo. He done came into the picture. Now all the stuff gotta go. So, but I digress. But yeah, it's they all going through different uh points of grief. So I can't fault them for what they doing in that situation.
Of course.
If it was a divorce, no, that's different. If he's still alive and kicking, and you doing that, all right. But because of the circumstances, it's a lot. It's a lot to intake. No pink slip.
um
Ah, see what I did there. See what I did there.
Oh, I was reading some. I apologize. I was reading some comments. I guess somebody was something about something. No offense, hosts, but folks who tout their credentials and brag on themselves like you do in your profile
I saw that. I kind
cause
of
me
just
to see
breezed through.
lots of red flags. Oh, you must show your wisdom, not claim it as a fact. Oh, I'm glad I didn't see these earlier, because then I would have took up time on my show where we could have been talking about something else. So anyway,
Facts.
I think that we covered a lot of stuff today. If you like the show, subscribe. We're here on Thursday around 6. Sometimes we start at 6, sometimes we start at 6:15. But if you subscribe, then you will get a notification whenever we're on. We also are on Facebook. We are on YouTube, Supportive Advice. And yeah, so I thank all of you that came and listened. I thank any of you that had an opinion that was valid to what we were talking about today. And I just appreciate you guys, period. So yeah, definitely subscribe, and thanks for listening. You guys have an amazing rest of your week. Peace.